each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, hello, hello. Man, you got here fast, Amber. I know you haven't said anything yet, but yeah. So, who wants to see pictures of Dion when he was 17 years old? Who wants to see that? Anybody? Anybody? Well, that's too bad because you're going to see him anyway. Let's go look at him. There it is. All right. There's the first one. Yep. I'm 17 in that picture. And yes, that is my wife, Shannon. That is my wife. All right. Show you another one here. Show you another one here. Oh, that's my email. Oh, this one. This was homecoming. That was homecoming. You can't see it, but I actually have long hair, and I hadn't blow dried that. I hadn't blow dried my hair in that one. Um, Here's a good one. This was taken at. I thought it was Elitch's, but I was very much corrected that it was Casa Bonita. You can see that I used to blow dry my hair. All right. Okay. So yeah, nobody cares. Okay. You didn't get to see all of that, did you? Just the one. Isn't it weird? Like you'll see old pictures of yourself and you're like, yeah, I look exactly the same. And other people are like, no, you do not. No, you don't. No. So I might get a little bitchy in this one. Just kind of let people know. Woo, we got messages. What messages? It's not email. I'm glad you noticed that too, Amber. Amber and I have our own conversation. We were talking about, let's kind of talk about it. Step 13. All right. It just fucking stop it. Okay. That's the only discussion that really needs to be had. Right. So when alcoholics come in, they pine for one or two things. They're just trying to fill that big empty hole in their stomach. And I too thought that, having the prettiest girlfriend or the best of or whatever what would bring my self-esteem, and no, it didn't work. Loneliness can make you do weird shit, like go back to abusers and stuff, man. It's a hard one, but that's all I'm gonna say on it because nothing more needs to be said. It does not. But welcome to the double daily trudge. This is my second one. I will not be going live again today. I'm just putting off enough time so I can watch the Bills kick the shit out of the Chiefs. Hopefully, mostly it's just Miller's on the team, and I like Miller. You can probably imagine that I do. If you don't know my last name, it's Miller. If you're here, please say hello. All right. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. There's a lot of stuff. Um, you know, and I don't want to get into anything specific. I'm not here to stir the pot or for controversy. Maybe I can just apply it to some of the things that I do, right? Um, 4 or 5 years ago, I saw a bunch of people doing the wrong things in the recovery industry, and there was a couple of choices that I had. I could either run around and just complain about it, or I could actually do something about it in my community. Um, you know, let's apply this to the Serenity Prayer. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. I hope nobody's leaving because I don't, but I don't, I don't really want to cause controversy, but we do got to think. We got to think about these things. There's Let's just call it what it is. There's a lot of, and I don't blame them. I do not blame a lot of people that are scared that we have a different president. This happens every 4 years. Okay. Um, I had a lot of fears when came in, and those fears came true. Those fears came true. Okay. Now, is that Biden's fault? Is it the fault of other people? Is it, if I go along that road, I'm going to find a lot of contention. You know, it's hard to speak your mind without getting political or religious. You know, a lot of people probably consider me a Republican. I am not a Republican, and neither am I a Democrat. I'm neither one of them. You know, what I am is a person who just wants the right thing. That's really what I want. But I don't appreciate being called a Republican because, and I kind of get shoved in my face. I mean, I have favorite transvestites, man. I don't. The I am a big supporter of the LGBTQ. I'm a big supporter of letting people come into our country and be the best version that they can be. Okay, but I don't see this as a political thing. The way I kind of look at it is these are children of God, man. They're children, and every single one of them are, whether I agree with somebody or not, they're, in my eyes, they're still a child of God. And we could probably find some kind of agreement, some kind of landing ground that we could all come to, right? Um, Now, the thing is, um, if I, would I be taking it differently if I was a trans person myself? I don't know. And see, that's where that line kind of gets drawn that I can't speak for somebody that I'm not. It's not fair, you know. I like to call things what they are here. I'm the epitome of white privilege. I'm a freaking I'm a 54-year-old white male and I am the epitome of white privilege, right? Um, I don't want to say no. Are are you asking are they children of the devil then? I want to make sure that I'm getting that question right. Are there people out there that I was a child of the devil for a while when I was drinking? I believe that. Well, that's a very provocative question, Amber. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I want to make sure, are you saying are there or are they? And because sometimes we misspell. So I want to make sure I'm getting the right question for you. Yeah, I'm gangster. I grew up with a lot of gangs. I grew up around actually a lot of gangs. Um, Knew a lot of people in Crips and Bloods. That's what was big when I was growing up. And when you're a child of the system, yeah, it becomes a little different. But I recognize that I have this certain privilege, and I don't want to abuse it. Mm-mm. And I'm not grateful for my white privilege either. I am not. I don't want it. I don't. I don't want power over other people. I don't want control over other people. I tried that way, right? So, but if we go back to I saw something wrong, um, you know, was it was it the Democrats or the Republicans that was it the Republicans or the Democrats that destroyed the recovery community here? Neither. They're neither. It was the people in and of itself. Now it went to shit when we became a democratic state. Does that tell us something? I No, I don't think it does. No, I'm walking a thin fucking line here. I know I am, and it's highly uncomfortable. It is very, very uncomfortable. Let's see. I'm curious. If there's children of God, then there must be children of the devil. I'm saying, are there? Okay, not they are. Okay, thank you. It's their choice to be a child. Oh no! First of all, I do not think that LGBTQ are okay. So if I did come across that way, I do believe that there's a lot of people out there that believe in Satanism. And guess what? It's a higher power. Still a higher power. We might get into some areas that I'll just let you know I'm naive about. But sure, I mean, if there are children of the devil or children of God, then there's children of the devil. But there again, what is that? That's perception, right? Yeah, good catch, Amber. Good catch. So I love you. You keep me on my toes. Not literally, because that would hurt. I'm too old and fat to be on my toes all the time, right? And but I can understand fear. I can understand these other things. Um, the uh, the well, I'll give a couple of my own things. I remember when I was younger, and I still wanted to do it as I got older, but I wanted to be a ballerina. I wanted to learn ballet. And I went and told my parents, and they made fun of me for days. And I never asked again, right? No. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was neat. I thought it was something that I could do well, you know. I also wanted to play drums though. They didn't let me do that either. They didn't make fun of me, but they just got me a trumpet, which I sucked at. Till your lips go numb, right? So, it was a stigma, because even growing up, I didn't base people off gender, and I don't to this day. There are plenty of men I see that I'm like, that's a good looking man. You know, doesn't mean I want him. You know, I now I don't swing that way, but it doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me. I've had plenty of men hit on me. Doesn't bother me. All right, thanks for the compliment. I don't go that way, but thank you. Right. Absolutely, Michelle. It's good to see you. This isn't really I don't think I'm really in the AA realm right now, though, or the 12 step realm. But let's kind of get to that then, right? Because those are some examples of big things going on right now, heated discussions. Um, you know, um, I hear a lot of, I hear and see a lot of things happening. Do I know if it's true? All right. So, let's get to the strength prayer. God, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change. Well, if I'm complaining, I'm not really fitting in that. Now, I'm not saying complaining is necessarily bad, but it's got to come with some kind of action. Otherwise, I'm dumping. I'm dumping, right? And and in this case, what would be smart of Dion would be to pick my battles. Um, you know, see, when it only hurts when it directly affects you. That's it. It's how it is, right? So I'm not really hurting over it, but I have enough empathy to understand what it could be like, what it could be like, not what it is like, okay, but what it could be like, right? Now, earlier I said that I have a privilege. I've always known this. I've always known that I had a privilege because I was a white male. I've felt it. I've seen the way other people are treated around me and not me and things and I always found it unfair. Always. I've never been okay with that. I'd be around friends, they'd make racist comments and stuff, and I would neighborhood kids, they weren't friends. And I would usually walk away because I didn't feel that way. I never felt that way. Um, I go to church, they'd be talking about God will send you to hell and do all this other stuff. And I just never felt that way. So I just tuned them out. I didn't believe them. Right. So when things started happening here, I was homeless myself and I'm an alcoholic. So my passion is homeless alcoholics. That's my passion. If that's my first choice of being able to help, right? Um, and I'm not saying I didn't do any complaining, but when I complained, I also brought other things to the table, if that makes sense. I think all I've done here is just dig me a big hole that I'm going to sit in for the day. It's kind of tough because I just got out of a meeting where there are a lot of fucking opinions, and all I can do is laugh so that I don't become angry. Yeah, and chew people's asses out that don't need to do it because I don't want to react and then do that. Have to. I don't. I don't want to make amends to people that I don't necessarily that I have to go out of my way to like. If that makes sense. And I probably should have stuck in the realm of what affects me because isn't that the right way? I'm gonna go out next week and we're gonna be interviewing. We're gonna be interviewing, and that's a place where I was gonna get to there. But here's the we're gonna be interviewing. I'm gonna be interviewing homeless people, and there's a questionnaire and things like that. And I really appreciate that because um, I I believe that if we're going to provide the needs for other people and we haven't been there, that we need to go ask instead of assume what it is that they need. And we do this with homeless quite often. Oh, they need a roof over their head. They need to. I found that most people want one thing in the world, and a person that understands what they're going through, empathy, holding space for them. They'd rather they'd rather you held space for them than gave them a sandwich of $300. I can tell you that. At least most would. But there again, it's going to be individualized. Maybe this person is mentally healthy and stuff, and they're on the streets because of circumstance. And really, all they do need is a hand up. I do a hand up, not a handout. And I took that. You're gonna love this. Right? If you were in that meeting, you're gonna love it. I stole that from a place called Step 13. Right? It's now called Step Denver because Step 13 means something entirely different now. Step 13 used to mean you died sober. Right? Now it means somebody's hitting on somebody who's new. Why did we have to take this sexual perversion into everything that we got? You know, is you know, I don't know. Times change, and that's all I can go with. Because am I going to be able to go back and get everybody to realize that step 13 is not that and that it needs to be my way? Sounds a lot like white privilege, don't it? Well, yeah, that's because that's what it would be in this case. You bet your ass, right? I'm a believer that everybody should get the same shot, you know, but so acceptance is the answer to all my problems. Now, that is acceptance really an answer, or is it a tool used to get to where we need to be? Because acceptance in and of itself, right after that, it says acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. Now, what am I going to do about it? But accepting something, not necessarily as the way it is, but the way that it is, to make change is a great way to do it. Yeah. First, I had to accept that all the recovery coaches were out there committing fraud, and that 90% of them didn't even know that they were being led that way because they were naive. They don't understand Medicaid billing. They don't even understand a DAT note. They don't understand the difference between a client note and an insurance note. They're two different notes. Okay. One's to help you remember what the client's going through. The other one pays you money. Okay. And if not written correctly, you ain't getting your money. Okay. A DAT note stands for data, assessment, and treatment. That's what it means. And if you don't cover those three areas when you write that note, then the insurance isn't going to pay you. So this was kind of a twofold that, I started letting people know they're committing Medicaid fraud. They're committing Medicaid fraud. All right. Now, if I would have just accepted it and did nothing, the information that's coming out now wouldn't be there. No, no. See, I knew last year. I'm going to give another example here. The detox, and I kept bugging them. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna wait till 2025." Okay. Now let me tell you something. That money wouldn't have been there, and I knew it was coming. I knew we were going to fall short on state funding last year. It was apparent they were using it all up. There was no way there was going to be money left. I mean, one person made $21 million off sober living, and we wonder where our money went, right? So I'm not the kind of person to just sit on my hands and kind of let shit happen either. All right. So I was talking to people with Adams County on Friday, and I'm like, Emma, aren't you glad that I secured that 2.2 million? Because they're like, they know that I'm the one that got that together. I didn't know they were going to give me 2 million. I'm like, we just need to get this going. It's actually a total of it's actually a total of 3.1 million. $3.1 million is the amount of money that we have in order to put this together. And we secured it last year because I knew something was coming up. So if I can take my acceptance and then be proactive, then we can get to something different, and these are the passions. I would say in a lot of these cases is pick your battles. Pick your battles. You need to understand it. You need to be helpful because just complaining doesn't get me anywhere. And I found that out, you know. Yeah, Michelle, it's bad. It's bad. On top of that, he's actually a famous MMA fighter, which makes it well, and it goes beyond that. It really does, because he had no idea. He had no idea. There's a whole set of other people that are behind the scenes that set him up for that. And I know that they did because that's exactly what I would do if I was still being an asshole. That's usually how I am 2 steps ahead of these people because if I was in their position, this is what I would do next to make sure I could get out of it. And I have the mind of a fucking criminal. Okay? That's my mind. I always had to figure out how to do this, how to do that, okay? And not get caught. Okay? Um, it's just I see all this fear and I see a lot of people complaining some about some things that I'm not even sure exist, and I can't say either or. I'll give a good one that I've been hearing a lot lately that Elon Musk did some kind of, and I've heard two versions. I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I don't know. One was that he was doing the Nazi thing. The other people were saying he's like trying to throw his heart out. I don't know. I have no idea. I but I don't like Elon Musk for very different reasons. Okay? Because he screwed Johnny Depp's wife. That's why I don't like him. It has nothing to do with anything else. But even based on that, I don't know. But it stirs up, but it kind of ticks me off because then I hear assuming. And when I assume, it makes an ass out of me. Assuming doesn't make an ass out of you and me unless you assume with me. Then because people are like, oh, you assume makes an ass out of you and me. If you assume something and I do not, I am not the ass here. And I'm not going to fall into that trap. Right. I've also found this is directly in proportion to having decent boundaries, understanding your, and that may be it for all I know, Scott. That actually being popular and getting more clicks actually makes more sense to me than the other stuff because Elon Musk is not a pretty man. Okay, girls, tell me different if you want to. Okay, you know, he slept with Amber Heard, but sorry, she's I. She's not really. Right, but yeah. So the serenity prayer. So God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't change, because usually what we do in that portion is, well, I can change me, but I can't change other people. Okay. And I do agree with that. The people have to change themselves. Um, but I can certainly educate. I can educate. I do that here quite often. Okay, thank you, Michelle, for clarifying that for me. Why is it that, and see, it just happened again, and it was kind of sexist of me saying, well, I'm a man, so I guess I don't know. That's cutting me down, and that's not, and I shouldn't do that to myself. See? There's a lot of things, stupid, crazy shit that goes through my head, you know. And I notice a lot of different things. I was just in a meeting where people were talking about boundaries, and of course, step 13 comes up because, physical boundaries and stuff. And there was one guy who was like, yeah, and it should never, and I don't care, and it just shouldn't, and defending the women. I'm going to tell you something. That guy's just as much of a fucking predator as the other person. He just doesn't want to get caught. That's my belief. Okay. Oh, now the women are on my side. Oh, I tell you this, that man does not know how to have a relationship with other men. How do I know this? Because I did it. That's how I know. Because I used to do that shit. Right? How do I know what a woman is going through when that happens? Right? Yes, I want to defend. Yes, I want to be supportive. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. But I can't be so vehement. I can't speak. I can't speak on how a trans person would actually feel at this moment. I can't speak on that because I'm not one. But I can give my side as a male, a heterosexual male, okay, that, you know, let me put it this way, okay, and you may not agree with me, and that's okay. It's okay. There should be no, there shouldn't be any LGBTQ AA meetings. No, there shouldn't. There shouldn't. Now let me carry that through, okay? Now there shouldn't have to be. There shouldn't have to be. They shouldn't have to form their own group because they don't feel safe in regular AA meetings. I think that's bullshit. Not against the trans people, okay? And I try and have meetings. Everyone's welcome. I don't care what you look like, okay? Because I'm not there to be your fucking friend. I'm going to be friendly and I love you and I care what fucking happens to you. Sure, I do. Sure, I do. You know, and if that's what they need to do to feel safe, then fuck, do it. Then do it, man. I agree. But it shouldn't have to happen. And that's what gets me. And I tell you now, those come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, right? You know, for me, what's hard for me is seeing somebody's face all tattooed and stuff. It's hard for me to take them seriously. It really is. Weak handshakes, can't stand them, right? Well, what are these? Well, these is bullshit ingrained into Dion while growing up. Like, I would like to learn ballet. Well, you're gay. That's what they called me. Actually, it was with the F word. Yeah, I know a lot of trans alcoholics. You bet. Yeah. Gay, straight, bisexual, all sorts. It's a sexual preference, and I don't care. I, I don't. I listen to. I don't know if you speaking of trans. My favorite trans is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. If you have not seen that movie and you enjoy music, oh, you will very much like that movie. Okay. So I'm not a supporter. I'm not a supporter of trans. I'm not a supporter of white privilege. I'm not. No, I'm a supporter of human beings allowed to be human beings. That's what I'm a supporter of, right? So let's say I have a guy and he's hit on a couple of girls in the meeting. Okay, number one, he probably knew. Okay. Number two, he probably doesn't have God in his life. And my job isn't to take him by his ear and kick him out of the meeting. No, it is my job to pull him aside and say, that behavior here is not okay, man. It's not okay. Okay. But remember when I said earlier that I went through it that I felt like it, if I had the prettiest girl, then I was something. See, I know what it means to have that big fucking gaping hole in your stomach and you're searching for everything in this fucking world just to fill it so you can feel like a human being for 10 seconds. That I understand. Okay. And that is where we can all come together. There's always a landing place where we can agree on something. And that's where we always got to start. We've got to start where we can agree on something. Right. And I think we can all agree on one thing, that everybody is a child, for us here anyway, that everybody is a child of God and should be treated as such. Yeah. 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 The one meeting that I'm talking about that was being, the one guy, he intentionally made somebody overstep his boundary so he could bitch. And I saw it all the way through. Okay. I saw it all the way through. And I did bitch to Amber about it because I needed to get it off my chest. And why did I do that? So I could move forward because he's still a child of God. He's still a child of God. And what is that? Well, now he's triggered. Now his boundary is triggering my boundary. And when it, you know, no, no, no. Now we got to stop. I got to stop and take a look at the picture. What can I, God, what can I do to be useful? God, what can I do to help this person if they want my help? Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to utilize tolerance, patience, kindliness, and love. And the person chairing the meeting did fucking great. I'm not going to bring up her name because, yeah, she's not here. Okay. But I love her anyway. Right. But here's the thing. And I catch myself doing it too, where like somebody in a meeting I like talks, and it doesn't matter what they fucking say, like Amber. We all know I love Amber. Okay. She was like she's like a sister to me at this point. Okay. She's family, right? Anything she said, I'm gonna fucking support it, right? I gotta be that way with everyone. And I found myself lately not clapping for the people that I didn't quote unquote appreciate. Well, that's not equality. That's not fair. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. It's a different perspective. And if I'm too busy going against that perspective, then I'm not listening. Okay. Now, I may even listen and get to the point where I'm like, I don't agree with that, but I'm going to allow them to have it because who the fuck am I? Right. So, man, it's hard. It is. It, um, we all have a right to be here. I love being an American. I do. I get free. I get to come on here and tell my truth. I have freedom. I can go wherever I want. I can do whatever the fuck I want to. Okay, within reason. Of course, there's laws. I'm also a Virgo, so I love rules. So I get angry about football because I love rules. There's a like people that cheat at games. I'm like, you're going outside the boundary. And we follow the rules because that's the challenge of the game. That's the challenge. Sometimes I don't agree with all those rules, right? That's the other big thing that all I see is a list of, oh, Chiefs are cheating, Chiefs are cheating. No, they're also a pretty good football team, right? When, yeah, I bet I'd like Patrick Mahomes a lot better if he was on the Broncos. I might, you know. I used to say that about Peyton Manning. I'm like, the only reason I don't like Peyton Manning is because he's not on the Broncos. It's the only reason, right? So I can run around and just complain about things and shove my opinion down other people's throats, or I can be proactive in my own community. See, we all tend to think that this is where we're proactive, or I'm not even really being proactive here. This is just a communication. This is actually a convenience. Okay. The only way I'm proactive is when I go and do things that are outside of my house. Right. Well, that's not totally true because I have a lot of meetings online and we get stuff done. But really I have to be out of the scope of something in order to make that change happen. Okay. Now, over the last 4 or 5 years while I've been doing this, it's been highly uncomfortable. A lot of people fucking hate me. They do. They do not like me. And they will do everything that they can to shut me the fuck up. They will STF me, STFU me, STFUME. There we go. All right. And they want me to shut up because I'm telling the truth. I can tell you right now, the hardest thing to spread is the truth. But if you don't know the actual truth, I should probably shut my mouth. Right? Can't speak for other people. I can only share my own experience, strength, and hope. So I'm sure about 5% of that made sense. Of course, you're a bunch of alcoholics too, so maybe you're along the same thought process. But you know, what is the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There is nothing else. Nothing. Our whole society was hammered out on this, that it didn't matter who you were. I mean, we even changed things, right? I can tell you now, most of you would not have been allowed into AA, regular AA, when AA started. I wouldn't have made it when I was 17, 45. They would have let me in. Okay. And it didn't have anything to do. They're like, we only cater to the respectable alcoholic. And so instead of making people meet them where they were at by creating a rock bottom, we lowered the bar. We lowered the bar. And now we have all types, man. We have all types. Right? Now AA is not a safe space. That's it's a room full of judgmental alcoholics who are mostly unhealed. No. So don't dump. Share your experience, your strength, your hope. Get to the solution. See, the thing is the problem's already been presented, and it's usually the topic, right? The topic is usually the problem, and then we bring up our solution. Well, what did I do to get through that? Today was about boundaries, and people weren't even close to my perspective. Okay. Because there's certain things that need to happen in order for you to have healthy boundaries, not strong boundaries. Strong boundaries is, well, strong and healthy boundaries can go together, but they got to be healthy before they're strong, right? What was one of my strong boundaries when I was drinking? If you tried to get me to quit drinking, I would break up with you. That was a boundary, unhealthy boundary, but it was my boundary, right? Well, in order for me to have healthy boundaries, a few things are going to have to happen. First of all, I'm going to have to work on my self-esteem, or you won't. You won't. I need to know I need to be able to say no without feeling guilty. Whereas some of the other things, I have to quit playing God. That would be another thing. I have to stop being a people pleaser. That was the big one. And why is that? Because we run around and we say, well, I don't care what people think about it. And it's not true. So if you could just admit that we do care, if we do care what people think about us, we can adjust to that. Okay. And I threw adjust in there because Michelle just wrote it. See, things stick in my head quick. I'm glad. I'm glad, Michelle. And I hope it's not to my way of thinking. but to the right way of thinking. But the only way I'm going to get to the right way of thinking is by bringing up my own stuff, or I'm never going to be able to get to that. Right? So people pleasing is the big one. Okay? But no is a complete answer. Is a complete sentence. No. Okay? Otherwise, and if they're not listening, then go no. Okay? Fuck no. Leave me the fuck alone. But this is perfectly fine. Okay? Because the hard part about boundaries is this: hard conversations and confrontation. So learn how to confront. In order to have healthy boundaries, you need to be able to have strong confrontation skills. Hey, you know what? You kind of crossed the boundary there with me. Okay. Now, there's a difference between boundaries and appeasement. Okay. I don't care what your pronoun is. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't give a fuck. Okay. That is appeasement, and I ain't going there. Okay. But what I am willing to do is love you for who you are at the present moment. And if you want to go by him, then that's what I'm going to call you, by your name, because we all have names. We were given names. Even if you want to change your name, that's great. Go for it. But I'm not going to appease you. I can't memorize billions of pronouns. Okay. You can even put them in the little parentheses. Okay. It just, I'll call you by your name. What's wrong with that? You know? Well, it denotes that I'm male, and I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't understand. Okay. What if I change my name every day and then I'm like, well, you're not my friend if you don't continue going? See, and what is that? Well, that's a demand going to appeasement, and that is not a strong boundary. It's not. It's saying you have to do this, and I don't know any alcoholic that's gonna be okay with that. Right? Yeah, it's balance, man. It's hard to talk about. So fucking hard. I'm nervous. I've been nervous this whole fucking time. Okay. You can tell because blah, 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 blah. Okay. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to make sure you're not pissed at me when I leave. But I can't control that either. I want the people that I like to like me. Sure, I do. And I care what people think about me. I don't care what everybody thinks about me. No. Why should I have feelings towards a president that doesn't even know my fucking name? I do, but why? Why do I do that? Not very nice to me. All right, it's 2:22, and I'm going to take that as my sign to go ahead, and there's your sign. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And, maybe there'll come a day, maybe in my lifetime, where, we can all understand that our differences are beautiful and something to be learned from and not take it for granted. Yeah. Maybe one day. I don't know. But I know for me, I'm going to live that kind of life because it's a lot happier. It's a lot happier. Unless, of course, you got shit all over your face. Just kidding. The one I can't stand is the one in the nose. I just want to go, oh no, they look different. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's good to see you, Leisure. Good to see you, Amber, as always. Michelle, as always. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you. You know I do. No matter who you are. Peace out.